From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, relief greets the release of abducted Orire students as grateful families commend government efforts while demanding stronger rural school security and improved communication networks to prevent future attacks. Tragic landslide in Ikod and Watim in Calabar claims 5 lives, destroys numerous homes, leaving displaced residents demanding urgent intervention from government and citizens to mitigate erosion. Africa Missions Global celebrates 30 years of impact as former Vice President Professor Yemi Oshibajo commends Pastor Folu Adeboye's educational initiatives during the launch of her new book. And tragic fire engulfs Bangkok nightclub, leaving 27 people dead and several hospitalized as authorities launch investigation into the devastating blaze that struck the Thai capital. We begin tonight with security matters and what has been termed a big relief by many as the abductees from Orire local government area of Oyo State return home, while families celebrate their safe release and praise government's intervention. They remain haunted by the vulnerability of rural schools. Their joy is tempered by urgent demands: secure our children, fix our schools, and bridge the connectivity divide before tragedy strikes again. Our correspondent, Bukola Oriwo, reports.
The silence in Esiele, once heavy with the weight of missing loved ones, is finally breaking. After 56 days in the shadows, their children and teachers are free, currently recovering at the 2nd Division Military Hospital in Ibadan. Life is cautiously returning to the village. Yet, beneath the joy, the scars remain. Families are relieved, but the abduction exposed deep fractures in the community's armor, most notably a police station 2 hours away and a dead zone for communication.
Ìjọba federal, mo sì kí ìjọba state. I
am deeply grateful to both the federal and state governments. What they did for us was least expected. Even when we had almost lost hope, President Bola Tinubu and Governor Seyi Makinde came through for us to fulfill their promises, and we are indeed thankful. However, our community continues to suffer from poor network service. One of the reasons the abduction succeeded was because we could not communicate with the city center for help.
Firstborn, secondborn,
my first and second children were among those kidnapped, along with 2 of my relatives' children. I was devastated since it happened, but I just got some respite. For the first time, I can sleep again. We appeal for urgent support in Yawota community. We need communication networks because there's no service here and our roads are poor.
On the 15th,
what happened on the 15th of May was terrifying. We heard gunshots and people started running helter-skelter. We were all devastated, but we are grateful for the intervention that has brought relief.
Traditional ruler Tajuddin Abiye notes that the distance and isolation were silent accomplices to the crime.
Everywhere.
We are all relieved now that the children are out, but we have specific requests. We need army and police barracks here to strengthen security. We urge our people to unite and reinforce the vigilante network and local hunters while awaiting government action.
Families must wait another 48 hours for medical clearance before the long-awaited reunion. Governor Seyi Makinde has pledged to manage their rehabilitation and psychosocial therapy. For Esiele, the journey to healing begins now, with a prayer that the gaps which allowed this tragedy are finally sealed. Bukola Oriowo, Channel Television News.
And away from security matters, a quiet community in Calabar, Cross River State, has been thrown into mourning after a deadly landslide claimed lives and destroyed homes following heavy rainfall. The once lively community is now filled with sorrow as families mourn their loved ones and search through the ruins as what used to be their home.
What could have been another rainy weekend turned into a nightmare for residents of Ikot Anwatin in Calabar Municipality, Cross River State. A massive landslide triggered by heavy rainfall swept through the community, killing 5 people and destroying several homes. The disaster has left many families grieving, while many others have nowhere to sleep. Community members say 2 other victims survived the incident who are receiving treatment in hospital. For one father, the pain is almost impossible to describe. Kingsley Etim Eden lost 4 of his children in a tragedy. His eldest child was about 18 years old.
The erosion carried here, compressed my house, and my house built or collapsed, killed my 4 issue. 4 children. That's 1 grown-up girl and 3 boys who have been grown, but not all that. Some of them are in secondary school. Guys, the one in secondary school make class 1. This September for make class 2. Then the others are primary, nursery primary.
Eyewitnesses say they heard a loud, frightening sound before the hillside suddenly collapsed, sending mud, rocks and debris crashing onto nearby houses. Many people rushed to rescue their neighbors, digging through the mud with their bare hands in desperate attempts to save lives.
My call to the state government is that they should help us. We are in Ikorawatim too, Abedin too. We are crying for help. I have heard of what the Excellency has done, the governor of Cross River State has done in other communities. So right now, I believe because he has done all of those things, I believe he can still do it here. So we are crying for help. We are crying for help. Please, we don't want such to happen again.
Residents say this tragedy did not come without warning. According to them, they have repeatedly appealed to the government over the worsening erosion and poor drainage in the area, but little was done. They believe the disaster could have been prevented if lasting erosion control measures have been put in place.
I don't know if our leaders have been telling them, have been telling the government, but we have been complaining about this time without number, that we have a problem of erosion here. Now, please, if you can see what is going on just behind. Actually, I was on duty towards that very day. I can't even come out because the rain was very heavily. Then at the end of the day, when I came back this morning, look at what I saw. And before I knew, I came back, I've seen 4 dead bodies.
Today, many families have been displaced and are struggling to find food, shelter and clothing. They are appealing to the Cross River State government, emergency agencies and well-meaning Nigerians to come to their aid with relief materials and support. They are also calling on the authorities to relocate families living in danger zones and begin permanent erosion control projects to prevent another heartbreaking loss of lives. As the rains continue, the people of Ikot Anwatim say they are not only mourning those they have lost, they are also living with the fear that without urgent action, another tragedy could happen at any time.
We head to Benue State now, where the governor, Hyacinth Alia, has condemned attacks by suspected armed herdsmen and on Akpachi village in Otukpo local government area of the state. Governor's reaction followed reports that 8 persons were killed early this morning when suspected armed herders laid siege in a Otukpo Nobi community. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary, Tesu Kula, Governor Alia described the attacks as a breach of peace and a barbaric assault on human life, expressing concern that the incident occurred despite ongoing collaboration with traditional rulers and security agencies to promote lasting peace in Benue State. The governor has now directed security agencies to intensify surveillance, increase patrols, and work with neighboring states to prevent further attacks. In the meantime, those deadly attacks in Otukpo has sparked outrage as angry youths poured into the streets, chanting solidarity songs and accusing the government and security agencies of failing to protect their communities from recurring violence. The protest brought commercial activities to a standstill as demonstrators barricaded major roads, leaving commuters stranded and motorists seeking alternative routes amid heightened tension. The protesters demanded immediate and decisive action to end the persistent attacks, calling for increased security presence, arrest or prosecution of those responsible, and adequate protection in vulnerable communities. And staying in Benue State, the governor Hyacinth Alia says that education remains a major factor for the development of Nigeria and curbing insecurity across the country. Governor Alia made this known in Abuja at the Yakubu Gowon University quarterly guest lecture series. According to him, his administration believes strongly that if the people are fully educated, the issues of killing, kidnapping and maiming will be reduced to the barest minimum.
I was among the earliest Nigerians to publicly campaign for the establishment of state police. I personally made a passionate appeal to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this December, urging him to support this critical reform as a necessary and urgent step towards better protecting our people and strengthening national security. So recent efforts by Mr. President and the National Assembly in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor to advance constitutional reforms on Nigeria's security architecture are therefore commendable. I wholeheartedly welcome the landmark decision to give serious consideration to this important national issue. It is a bold, timely, and necessary response to the security realities facing our country. So there is an urgent need to enable states with the capacity and political will to establish their own police services. At the same time, national thresholds will be in place with standardized regulations.
We turn our attention to politics now, where the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has extended the deadline for political parties to submit the list of successful candidates for the 2027 presidential and National Assembly elections. This announcement is contained in a statement issued by the Commission on July the 12th, that's today, and signed by the National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Mohammed Kudu Haruna. According to the statement, the new deadline for parties to submit their candidates list is now midnight of Tuesday, July the 14th, 2026, as against the previous date, which was Saturday, July the 11th, 2026. And according to INEC, the extension follows an appeal by political parties who were unable to meet the previous deadline. INEC has therefore urged political parties that are yet to meet this obligation to take advantage of the additional window and ensure that all required details are uploaded before the expiration of the new deadline. In part two, after the break, Africa Missions Global celebrates 30 years of impact as former Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo commends Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye's educational initiatives during the launch of her new book. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Relief greets the release of abducted Orire students as grateful families commend government efforts while demanding stronger rural school security and improved communication networks to prevent future attacks. Tragic landslide in Eko Awatim in the Calabar, Cross River State claims 5 lives, destroys numerous homes, leaving displaced residents demanding urgent intervention from the government to mitigate erosion. Africa Missions Global celebrates 30 years of impact as former Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo commends Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye's educational initiatives during the launch of her new book. And tragic fire engulfs Bangkok nightclub, leaving 27 people dead and several others hospitalized. Authorities have launched investigation into the devastating blaze that struck the Thai capital. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has sued the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, over its alleged failure to investigate claims that APC governors diverted 800 billion naira for political and campaign purposes. According to the suit, the funds were allegedly sourced through monthly deductions from the FAAC allocations to support President Bola Tinubu's re-election campaign. SERAP is also asking the Federal High Court to compel INEC to investigate these allegations, demand full disclosure of the campaign fund, including donors and funding sources, and enforce Section 91 of the Electoral Act on Political Financing. The organization argues that unchecked campaign funding threatens transparency, electoral fairness, and the credibility of the 2027 general elections, insisting that INEC must uphold its constitutional duty to safeguard Nigeria's democratic process. Meanwhile, in Edo State, the Independent Electoral Commission is declaring the All Progressives Congress winner of all 18 chairmanship seats and the 192 councillorship seats contested in Saturday's local government elections. Speaking during a briefing at the Commission's Secretariat in Benin City, the Edo State capital, the chairman of the Commission, Jonathan Alfo-Bokai, says the election was conducted peacefully with minor operational challenges that did not affect the overall outcome. And it's another milestone for Africa Missions Global as it celebrates its 30th anniversary. Former Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who was the keynote speaker, has applauded the strides of the faith-based organization and its visionary, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye, especially in the area of education. The event also featured the launch of a book, Serving with Purpose, which chronicles the ministerial calling of the visionary. Our correspondent, Chris Lems, reports.
It's a very significant event celebrating the 30th anniversary Thanksgiving of the Africa Missions Global. Dignitaries including former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, captains of industry, the leadership of the RCCG are in attendance. In his opening address, the Africa Missions Global chairman chronicles the organization's storied journey and outlines the strategic roadmap for the mission's future.
Age 30 is significant in many ways as far as the scriptures are concerned. The Horizon 2033 vision challenges us to think bigger, reach farther, and serve more effectively. Achieving this goal is going to require greater partnerships, increased resources, more people committed to the cause.
The visionary Pastor Mrs. Fulu Adeboye takes the podium. In an atmosphere of deep gratitude, she reflects on the mission's progress and issues a steering call for intensified compassion towards the vulnerable.
We must continue to combine evangelism with compassion, preaching with service, and prayer with action. Let the next generation, harvesters, rise with courage and conviction. May young men and women develop a heart for missions, a passion for souls, and a willingness to serve wherever God sends them.
Former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo delivers the keynote address, reflecting on the theme, the goodness of God. He commends the relentless dedication invested in uplifting the African child.
Over the last 3 decades, the African Missions Global has not merely been an advocate for the African child. It has also been a witness. It has worked alongside communities across our continent. It has seen in the lives of more than 15 million children, their families, the transforming power of education.
The event reaches a crescendo with the unveiling of Serving with Purpose, a definitive 5-in-1 literary collection documenting Pastor Mrs. Adeboye's ministerial calling.
So today I challenge you, my brothers and my sisters. Everything we have in our hands is a resource that belongs to God. Every tap that is opened represents God as your source. Every hose that is attached to it will receive water as it runs from the tap. But that water must run through the hose to somewhere. Otherwise, if you block it, the hose is going to burst.
Joy abounds as the congregation celebrates both the AMG milestone and the 78th birthday of the visionary with a ceremonial cake cutting. The life patron of the African Missions Global and General Overseer of the RCCG, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, culminates the session with prayers of blessings.
And my prayer for you today, in addition to whatever you want for yourself, is that as God is helping me, He will help you. As you are lifting my hands up, through lifting up the hand of my wife, the Almighty God will lift up your hands.
The celebration concludes with a jubilant session of praise and thanksgiving. For African Missions Global, education remains the cornerstone of its work, a point the visionary reiterates as central to the mission's identity.
When the child is educated, the prison doors will be locked. We encourage Nigerians that we should make sure our next neighbor is educated. Be an helper to the children of your next neighbor and your next neighbors to be educated.
Reflecting on 3 decades of tangible impact, the Chief Executive Officer marks this anniversary as a testament to the mission's enduring legacy.
There's a community we went to in Ankoko, where in that particular community, nobody was literate. And the chief of the community said that they asked him for a local government councillor, but he had nobody literate to present. And when we started the school there, that school is about 15 years now. When we started the school there in primary 1, you had people from age 30, from age 5 to age 30. And when you look at them today, it makes it worth it. So I'm grateful to God because the theme is on God's goodness. We can see the goodness of God, not because we were perfect, but I guess when you're just there and available, God uses even the most broken vessels.
As the event comes to an end, the Horizon 2033 mandate looms large. to reach 100 million people. With the team's unwavering resolve, the mountains ahead will undoubtedly be moved. Chris Alems, Channels Television News.
I say huge congratulations to African Missions Global and its visionary. And still ahead on the news at 10, tragic fire in Gold's Bangkok nightclub, leaving 27 people dead and several others hospitalized. Authorities have launched investigation into the devastating blaze that struck the Thai capital. That's on the foreign scene. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. To health matters now. Africa faces a substantial challenge of rising cases of cancer as it is killing more Africans than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. These were the words of the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isaac Asalako, during a conference to discuss oncology situation in Nigeria, while citing data from the Global Cancer Observatory. Mr. Salako says that Africa currently has about 1.2 million new cancer cases and 721,000 deaths in 2024, with Nigeria accounting for about 10.5% of that figure. However, he says the federal government is currently working rigorously to reduce the cancer burden in Nigeria by 30% in the year 2030.
With almost 1.2 million new cancer cases and about 721,000 cancer-related deaths in 2024, according to the Global Cancer Observatory data, Africa faces a substantial challenge from this scourge, which kills more than war and is killing more Africans than AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis combined. Regrettably, my country, Nigeria, being the most populous nation in the continent, accounts for about 10.5% of the figure for Africa, sharing the unenviable top 3 positions with Egypt and South Africa. Let me report that Nigeria is demonstrating resilience backed by the highest level of political support to address challenges in the entire cancer care continuum. This is why we developed and we are vigorously implementing the National Cancer Control Plan 2026 to 2030 with the ambitious goal of reducing cancer burden in Nigeria by 30% by 2030. The national plan is comprehensive and covers areas including risk assessment and prevention, diagnosis, treatment, care coordination, patient navigation, research, survivorship, data management, artificial intelligence, partner mobilization, resource mobilization, and oncology workforce development.
And as part of efforts to promote quality healthcare delivery in the southern part of Borno State, the governor, Babagana Zulum, has laid the foundation of 100-bed capacity new general hospital in Kwayakusar local government area of the state. The governor, who also directed the employment of some medical staff, says the aim is to decongest the existing general hospital and provide better healthcare for residents in the local government area.
Politicians, healthcare workers, and residents of Kwayakusar local government area converged to welcome Professor Babagana Zulum for the groundbreaking ceremony of a new 100-bed capacity general hospital.
Kwayakusar General Hospital today, the 11th of July 2026, for the glory of God and to the benefit of mankind.
The new hospital is aimed at expanding healthcare services in the area, in addition to complementing the existing general hospital, which will also be upgraded and equipped with modern medical facilities.
All over the state, new projects are coming up, and this one too is not different. This is a 100-bed ward capacity, general hospital. It has all facilities that is supposed to be in a general hospital. So we are glad you are here to lay the foundation for the new general hospital.
We did promise to the people of this local government that we shall construct a befitting 100-bed capacity general hospital. Just last 2 days ago, in fulfillment of my promise to the people of this local government area that I shall construct another hospital, a hospital here, and it is my sincere hope that the construction will be completed on or before 6 months.
The project receives a boost with the announcement of the employment of some medical staff to boost the manpower of the existing facility ahead of the 6-month completion period of the new hospital.
5 Jews, 1 registered nurse, and then 2 medical records. One of them doctors. We write their name now.
Determined to ensure even development of the state, Governor Zulum also inspected a 100-bed hospital in Shafa, our local government area, and another one in Brielle, as part of government's effort to bring healthcare services closer to the doorsteps of the residents.
The federal government is committed to expanding the National Community Food Bank program across the country, and this is to ensure that no Nigerian child is vulnerable or vulnerable pregnant women goes to bed hungry. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, stated this during the North Central launch of the program in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital. Professor Pate describes the initiative as a major investment in Nigeria's human capital, stressing that proper nutrition during pregnancy and early childhood is critical to children's brain development, educational outcomes, and the nation's future prosperity.
It's the turn of the North Central region for the launch of the National Community Food Bank program, which aims at improving nutrition for vulnerable mothers and children in the country. The First Lady is joined by the host, Governor Usman Ododo, and his wife, Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State, some deputy governors, federal and state lawmakers, some ministers, as well as traditional rulers at the launch in Lokoja, Kogi State. The center is stocked with food items and strategically located in close proximity to primary health care centers to cater for the nutrition of vulnerable children under the age of 6, pregnant women, and lactating mothers.
As we roll this in the North Central, I'm calling on the excellencies, the governors, but also the first ladies, to roll this out in each of the states, because the template is there, the model is there. I believe the resources are also there, that we should see more and more uptake as we cover the country, so that no Nigerian, no matter where they live, will have this as an issue that their children or pregnant women will go to bed hungry.
According to the government, over 600 families have already benefited from the program in the Northeast, while more than 200 families have started benefiting in the Northwest.
The North Central Zone is one of Nigeria's major food-producing regions, blessed with fertile land and hard-working farmers. This makes it well-positioned to support the program in sourcing nutritious food from local farmers, which will in turn serve as additional means of income for them. I also appeal to our traditional and religious leaders to help us convey the message of today to our communities to ensure that the intended beneficiaries are reached.
Many times when people have malnutrition, they fall sick and they go to the health center. So when they get to the health centers, they will be screened and assessed. And if a pregnant woman or a young infant is found to be qualified by way of the fact that they have malnutrition, clinical malnutrition, they are registered, on a database that is digitized with a unique identifier, and they are referred to the food bank for that local government.
First launched in Abuja on April the 2nd, 2026, the program is being implemented through a strategic partnership involving the Office of the First Lady, the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, and the Bank of Agriculture.
And now to the arts. Unraveled, Exploring Meaning in Chaos is a solo exhibition at the National Museum right here in Lagos. And the artist, Solo Calvati, is not around to take us through the works, but her curator does the honors. We'll see that on Art Review tonight.
Art
arts can be explored through countless forms and mediums, often breathing life into everyday objects and materials. This takes center stage at the National Museum in Lagos, where artist Suluk Sulma's Kalvati showcases her unique creativity through a captivating jury exhibition titled Unraveled, Exploring Meanings in Chaos, deeply inspired by the artist's childhood experiences.
This artist happens to be one of a kind. They don't come too often from Middle East, to exhibit in Nigeria. So this is a special hosting of her exhibition, which of course dwells on her art, jewelry. So it's not also often you find artists doing jewelry in this part of the world. So it's an eye-opener for a lot of artists in Nigeria to take after, her, or we even embark on a kind of workshop that will expose them to this aspect of visual art and expand their horizon, as it were, in their career.
The collection masterfully bridges disparate worlds, blending elements of both African and ancient Persian spiritual beliefs. These cultures traditionally view jewelry not just as ornament, but as a form of protection and emotional embodiment. Ideas that Kalvati boldly reinterprets through a contemporary artistic lens. To reinforce the exhibition's raw theme, she also incorporates intricate, insect-inspired designs into the collection, using bee-like structures to symbolize structure within disorder.
It's more about, expressing oneself. In this case, Suluk, the artist, she kind of thought deeply into culture. She also explores the way culture shapes perceptions, the way also culture situates individuals within it, like the female, the male gender, and all of that. Mythology too, and legends. So sometimes all the thoughts and ideas are contrived from these avenues or channels, and then they yield to the larger, thing, which is her designs.
This exhibition shines a spotlight on the universal struggles of humanity, exploring how our values and perceptions are shaped by the cultures we are raised in. Through her delicate yet powerful jewelry pieces, Kalvati successfully delves into the human psyche and challenges viewers to look past social constructs, finding profound, reasonable meanings even in the absolute midst of chaos.
Kaduna State has hosted the second edition of the Renewed Hope West African Horse Racing Derby, bringing together horse racing enthusiasts, traditional rulers, and competitors from across Nigeria and the West African sub-region. President Bola Tinubu, represented at the event by the Governor of Kaduna State, Senator Obasani, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to using sports and culture as tools for national unity, economic growth, and youth empowerment.
Colorful displays, thrilling races and cultural performances mark the second edition of the Renewed Hope West African Horse Racing Derby as spectators fill the Murtala Muhammad Square in the Kaduna State capital to witness one of the region's biggest horse racing competitions. In attendance are riders, jockeys, horse owners, traditional rulers, as well as political leaders. The three-day championship features riders and horses from Nigeria and neighboring West African countries competing in several race categories, reinforcing the Derby's growing status as an international sporting and cultural festival.
And I'm proud to let you know that the association, the Horse Racing Association in Nigeria, has come a very long way when we established the airport where our forefathers had made plan for us. This sport of horse racing, which has been in a very long history of our tradition, I've been using these animals as fighting wolves, but he uses the animals for entertaining us, or we are using these animals in sporting activities.
Representing President Bola Tinubu as the special guest of honor at the event, Governor Obasani of Kaduna State describes the championship as a platform for promoting national unity, preserving Nigeria's rich equestrian heritage, and creating opportunities for youth development and economic empowerment through sports and tourism.
Over the years, the absence of sustained investment in traditional sporting activities has limited opportunities available to many young leaders. Reviving organized sports fun and sports racing provides an important avenue for positively engaging the youth, promoting discipline, strengthening moral values, encouraging healthy competition, and contributing to peace, security, and social stability within our communities and indeed investment economy activities.
Governor Sani also explains the federal government's decision to replace the Federal Ministry of Sports Development with the National Sports Commission.
The National Sports Commission has made the transformation of Nigerian sports from a fundamentally competition-driven activity into a sustainable economic sector. A major component of this transformation has been the sale of the sport money sector. Measures have already been approved to improve the top line, predictability, and sustainability of quality for national sporting programs.
At the end of the competition, prizes are presented to winners. The renewed Hope West African Horse Racing Derby is expected to further boost cultural tourism, deepen regional sporting cooperation, and provide new economic opportunities for communities involved in Nigeria's horse racing industry.
And Super Eagles goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali has completed a return to South Africa club Chippa United ahead of the 2026-2027 season earlier today. The surprise move comes after the Nigerian shot-stopper spent the last 5 months without competitive football, a period that also saw him lose his place in the Super Eagles squad. Nwabali left the Chile Boys in February after the end of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations earlier this year and has now been linked to several clubs in Africa, Saudi Arabia, and Europe before his return to South Africa. Nigeria's under-17 girls head coach Akim Busari has commended the Flamingos for withstanding a strong challenge from the Amazons of Benin Republic to triumph 5-3 in Lomé in the return leg of their FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifier. This win earned the girls 8-5 aggregate with a spot at the Under-17 Women's World Cup finals in Morocco, and that game will happen later this year. And for England manager Thomas Tuchel, he says that his team were lucky to squeeze past Norway 2-1 after extra time to reach the World Cup semi-finals, but he praised world-class Jude Bellingham after his 2 goals dragged the Three Lions to victory. A furious Tuchel was in a little mood to celebrate despite England reaching the last 4 for just the 4th time in history after Bellingham double overturned Andrea's opener.
No doubt I'm proud and I'm happy and I feel so connected to this team because they just do whatever it takes to take the next step. They just refuse to lose. They overcome obstacles and adversity. But I'm also a football coach and I also have demands and of course we wanna bring out the best in us in a performance because a top performance helps you winning games. It is just like this, so the head of mine is not fully satisfied and is not 100% happy with the way we played, and I stand by it. I think we can play faster. I think we can play more clinical. We have too many unforced errors in technical mistakes in our game that cost us a lot of belief, and like I said, we had some crucial moments where we got lucky in the end of the first half.
And on the flip side, Norway coach Estelle Solbakken has said that he is convinced the ball struck an overhead camera cable before England scored a crucial equalizer in their World Cup quarter-final victory, while FIFA swiftly issued a statement after Norway's 2-1 defeat in Miami to say that the chip sensor embedded in the ball showed no sign of it hitting a cable. He says that he remains adamant.
It probably will. That was unlucky for us. The ball fell down, straight down from the sky, so it changed its direction. So it became a misunderstanding among our players, and it was in a bad moment for us. But we can't do anything about that. I don't think we will play the game again. So that's how it is.
Well, we told you earlier about Nigeria's under-17 girls head coach Akim Busari commending the Flamingos for withstanding a strong challenge from the Amazons of Benin Republic. Let's bring you more on that.
Thank you. From the day one that we played the first leg, it was not an easy match. The team, they proved a character, they proved difficult, but basics of the game is what we try to tend on, because we have the beauty ideas of the game, and those are the things we capitalize on. They were a good side as well, because their side too, as any side you have played before they get to this stage, they score like margin goals, and they won exceedingly. So playing us as well, you will see the tormenting in the game, you will see their character, but we are able to subdue them. And why do we subdue them is we play away from that their own culture, we play our own style. So our side was more difficult for them, because we don't zone and we come and marking. And when we press high press into their half. So if we press high press into their half, you have lesser numerical advantage in number. So we take attack to them.
Away from sports now and outside our shores, there's been a fire outbreak in a pub in Bangkok in Thailand, which is reported to have killed dozens of people following reports received around midnight after a huge blaze raged out at the front door of a pub in the northern part of the Thai capital. Thai Prime Minister says the scene that said 27 bodies had been recovered. He says the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Rescuers say firefighters have brought the blaze under control as search and rescue activities continue for survivors or more bodies. Lindsey Graham, who's a prominent Republican senator in the United States and a key ally of President Donald Trump, has died at the age of 71. His office released a statement saying that Senator Graham died on Saturday evening after a brief and sudden illness. And the main news again. Relief greeted the release of abducted Orire students as grateful families commended government efforts while demanding stronger rural school security and improved communication networks to prevent future attacks. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Good night and have a wonderful week ahead.